Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Rumble. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Packers, talk some draft news, as we have a newest member of the Top 30 Visit Club coming into Lambeau to meet with the Green Bay Packers. I'm excited to dive into that prospect scouting report. I see the chat is already lit up. Tim, how was your day, big dog?
Great, man. Looking forward to talking about these top 30 visits, man. The list is filling out pretty quick.
Really is, man. It's I tell you, you look up, you blink, and I think they're going to come in even faster. I mean, you just bat an eye. Next thing you know, you've got 20 on the list. Now, right now, I think we're sitting at like 8, I believe it is. But it's really telling to see who they are bringing in. And to me, it feels like a bunch of players that we kind of look at late first, early second, and almost it's like, I mean, you had a couple at the top of the list, don't get me wrong, but now it feels like they're diving into early second, like, hey, or one of these guys worthy of that 23rd pick type thing, you know? Yep. So I imagine somewhere between 15 to 25, they're feeling pretty good about the way the board sits, and they're trying to fill in the pieces now, if that makes sense. At least that's what it feels like on the surface. So sure. We had a question here from Chris the Casual in. Says, Clayton, have you done a deep dive on Donovan Ezeiruaku? Yet I prefer him over Pierce. Wow, over James Pierce. He's light, but better against the run and good pass rush production with long arms. You went on to say arms, 34 RAS, 8.28, great explosion, elite agility. Yeah, that's interesting, Chris. Liking him over James Pierce. Like if we look at our board here, we've got Donovan Ezeiruaku in the 31 spot. And the Packers have met with him, so they've shown some interest there. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him in for a top 30 visit. Like you had said, the RAS is in the 8s, so that scores him a 3-point bonus for us. So here's how he lands in the 31 spot. His 2022 PFF grade put him 46th at his position. In 2023, he dropped all the way back to 113th at his position. And in 2024, he climbed back up to 18th. His PFF big board, or the PFF big board at the end of the college football season, had him in the 46th spot. The consensus big board had him at 69. Daniel Jeremiah has him at 28, right around where we've got him, obviously coming at the 31 spot. However, Kyle Krabs had him at 19, and Dane Brugler had him back down around 30. And so, it sounds like the consensus there across what we consider our scouts, and we haven't heard Greg Cosell say anything enough about him yet to warrant a big bonus. They've really just not talked about him much. But kind of feels like, Tim, Donovan Ezeiruaku is somewhere around that 30, somewhere between 28 to maybe 35 range is what it feels like here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely also agree with keeping an eye on him. I don't know if I like him over Pierce. But I do like the fact that Ezeiruaku is another high football IQ FBI guy and played for Jeff Hafley at Boston College. So those are a couple of things that work in his favor as far as his development. He's in that sweet spot for the age too. He's 21 and a half. Got a lot of football years ahead of him. I think he's a great prospect. I really do. And I could totally see him going somewhere around that range, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate the pick if he's the pick at 23, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That means Goody's got him higher than on our board. The measurements look fairly decent, and obviously they've already shown some interest there in Ezeiruaku. Yep. And that could be something that, hey, they met with him, let's say at the Senior Bowl, and they said, hey, we got all the info we need on this dude. We really like him. Let's don't waste the top 30 on him,
Absolutely.
Just because a player doesn't have a top 30 doesn't necessarily mean they're not interested. Now, in terms of, do we like him more than James Pierce Jr.? Absolutely not. Now, I want you to key in on the PFF rankings here. 46, 113, and 18, right? Now let's climb up to where we've got James Pierce Jr. 12th in 23, 28th in 24. We did not have a grade for 22. However, the PFF big board at the end of the college football season had him 29th. The consensus big board had him as high as 13 at the end of the college football season. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 20 spot. Kyle Krabs had him at 13, and Dane Brugler had him at 21st, and he also scored a 9+ RAS. So the moral of the story here is he's better, according to our board, he's better than Donovan Ezeiruaku across the board. One thing that Donovan Ezeraku does not have that James Pierce Jr.'s got is that speed, that elite speed, right? With him running that 4.40. And that's not just about how fast is a guy, it's how quick their feet move, right? Especially with that 10-yard split. So now if you were to say, okay, let's find a positive for Donovan Ezeraku, I imagine he's heavier than James Pierce Jr., but the PFF grade would suggest he's not that much, if any, better at stopping the run, seeing that the overall defensive grade was, significantly higher. They're both in 23. And I think in 24, Ezeraku scored a little higher than him. But
yeah, pretty good tackle grade too on Ezeraku.
Right. Would not have a problem with Ezeraku being the pick over most guys. But if both of those guys are on the board and you say, Clayton, you got to make a pick, I'm going James Pierce Jr. over Ezeraku. That's just me personally. It's just I have zero data to say, hey, that should be the pick. Now, like we said with Ezeraku, they haven't done a top 30 visit yet. Doesn't mean they won't, but they may like him more than James Pierce and go, hey, let's go do a top 30 visit with James Pierce, which they did, and say, okay, let's see if this guy grades out higher now that we've gotten a better look at him over Ezeraku, right? Yeah. Because their board could be totally different from ours. I say that 1,000 times, and I do that on purpose, guys, because I don't want anyone to come to think I'm coming across like, man, our board's way better than any information anybody else has got. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just, obviously, you guys know our board is geared more towards what happened by the end of the college football season, as opposed to the underwear Olympics happening. Everybody's losing their mind over a player. And that's what's interesting about James Pierce Jr. At the end of the college football season, everybody loved him. He goes out there and runs a 4.47, and I've seen him drop on boards. I'm like, man. So, and again, when you talk about dropping on boards, is that lying season?
Yeah, exactly.
Could be that too. But all right. So there you go. There's a little bonus Ezeraku coverage. We got Jacob joining us now, aka Doc Holliday. Which, by the way, rest in peace to Val Kilmer, one of the best to ever do it, man. What an amazing person, amazing actor. I'm sure that's why you got it up there, Jacob, man. Ain't nobody will ever play Doc Holliday the way he did. Tombstone.
Just a fun fact, I spent the day watching all the best Val Kilmer movies. I just wanted to be lazy. I watched Tombstone, I watched Top Gun, and I watched The Ghost in the Darkness.
Oh, awesome. That was a good one.
Freaking movie.
Did you watch The Saint?
Yeah. Real quick fact, dude. I watched an interview too with Val Kilmer about how when he played Doc. It was about how he came up with the Doc Holliday accent, because it was.
Start over, Jacob. There's a bad lag in your real.
It was just about Doc Holliday, how he came to be Oh man, sorry. It's just about Doc Holliday's, how his dialect was like a dead dialect, how he had to talk to a voice coach about the Georgia, like the Southern Georgia dialect that he brought back to life. It was really cool.
I seen that same interview, and they said, man, they actually had a recording of it, right? And he's like, I've actually got a recording of a gentleman that still speaks it, and that's what he listened to. And he, in that interview, I seen it too. He kind of morphed into Doc Holliday as he was talking. It was like, God, he crushed it. So anyway, this obviously isn't a film review podcast, but got to tip your cap to Val Kilmer. Amazing actor for sure. So, all right. So let's do this. Fred McFarley says Jacob's neighbor's Wi-Fi is failing him. So there you go. Jacob, if you can hear me, say something as quick as possible.
What?
I feel like you delayed on purpose, and that defeated the whole plan there to make sure the delay was gone. Breaking news. We don't know what the hell we're doing here. All right, let's move it along. All right, so first topic of the day obviously is a big one, as it was reported by Easton Butler that TJ Sanders, defensive lineman from South Carolina, is in for a top 30 visit, whether he's already been there, it's scheduled, or it's going to happen. TJ Sanders, big time prospect, in my opinion, man. This is a guy who overcame coming out of college. He was not one of the highly touted recruits. And, coming out of high school into college. He wasn't like a big 5-star recruit. Really excited to see if the Packers may take a swing at him. Now, just a little info on him. Obviously, Bucket Scobenberg been working overtime again. The Green Bay Packers have reportedly scheduled a top 30 visit with South Carolina defensive lineman TJ Sanders. According to team sources, positioning him as a key prospect for the 2025 NFL Draft. Sanders currently slotted at 41 on our PTA Big Board, showcase his skills at the Combine with his 6'3", 297-pound frame and 4.95 40-yard dash, offering the Packers a disruptive interior defender with the potential to complement Kenny Clark on their defensive front. So if you move on to the high school days, look at this boy in high school.
Dang.
Imagine lining up against this cat. Look at 464. He's like, what the hell have I got myself? So here's the scouting report coming out of high school for TJ Sanders, a 3-star recruit from Marion High School in Marion, South Carolina. TJ Sanders entered the 2021 class as a versatile athlete with untapped potential, standing 6'4", 275. They lied once again. I promise he didn't shrink at the Combine. He blended size with agility, excelling as a 2-sport star in football and basketball. His senior tape revealed a quick first step, powerful hands, and a relentless motor, earning him all-state basketball honors and a number 12 ranking among South Carolina prospects for 24/7 Sports. Sanders chose South Carolina over offers from Tennessee and NC State, with recruiters eyeing him as a raw but high-ceiling defensive lineman. Goes on now. Here's the PFF card. Obviously, someone who's entering the league somewhat ascending. In 2021, his PFF grades were a 59.2, 57.4 in 2022. Then he climbed to a 72.5 in 2023. And then in 2024, he jumps all the way up to an 82.4. So he is a player that's gotten better every single year. I mean, with the exception of a slight step back when he finally started playing more in 2022. It looks like 2021 he had minimal snaps. So it just seems like a guy who's figuring it out along the way. Really does. What do you guys think looking at the PFF grades there? And we'll continue to dive into the scouting report. I just want to get y'all's initial thoughts before I continue talking here. TJ Sanders, Tim, how would you feel about him at pick 23? Or is this maybe what we were talking about? Maybe Goody might be looking to eye a couple of prospects that go, okay, if we do decide to trade back, that's our dude if we trade back.
This is our target, yeah. The thing I like most about TJ Sanders is he's a true real deal 3-tech. And I feel like we've talked ad nauseum about how badly we want to see a true 3-tech in this defense. So that's exciting about him. And, you know, I don't know, is 23 a reach if you're if that's a super important position to need? I don't think so necessarily. I wouldn't be upset at all with him at 23. I also wouldn't be upset with trading back to 27 or 26 and loading up on an extra pick, and maybe you snag Sanders in the second round or something if he's there. But I think he's a great prospect for sure. And you know me, I'm all about the defense. So I would be all for this pick.
Go ahead, Jake.
Huckleberry, what do you got?
Yeah, I think 23 is a little rich for my blood. Graded out real well. We saw the ascending grades, which is nice. Like Tim said, he's definitely a 3-tech. Pass rush grade of a 81.9, run defense grade of a 77 flat, true pass set rush grade of a 90.3. He had a 12.6 pass rush win rate. Around that grouping of the other DTs that are going to be there around 23, I would totally love it if it was maybe a second round pick, or maybe like you just talked about, maybe a trade back scenario. At 23, it'd be a little too rich for my blood.
Got it. Deadfish says, I would think Sanders would be there at 54. If he's there at 54, run a card. You know, that's a great pick at 54, in my opinion. Coach Lynn says, or 29 or even 32, that would be a little more palatable for sure. Someone is going to fall that can help us. Agree there, man. Moving along here, in terms of college statistics, Sanders a four-year tenure at South Carolina, which, by the way, I like that he didn't transfer at all either. You know what I mean? Kind of stuck with his school. South Carolina wasn't a powerhouse by no stretch. Reflects a trajectory of growth and impact after redshirting in 2021 with just 1 tackle in 2 games. He emerged in 2022 with 16 tackles and 1 sack across 12 games. His 2023 redshirt sophomore season marked a breakout, 43 tackles and 4.5 sacks in 12 games, earning honorable mention All-SEC. In 2024, Sanders peaked with 51 tackles, 4 sacks, and 7 tackles for a loss in 13 games, adding 33 quarterback pressures and securing first-team All-SEC honors. Again, first-team All-SEC. So his career totals in college ended up being 111 tackles, 9.5 sacks, and 15 tackles for a loss over 39 games. That's a pretty stout performance there for an interior defensive line playing for a school that has not competed for an SEC championship in some time.
Yeah.
So obviously they're in the bottom half of the SEC. You go out there and put those kind of numbers up, man, and then earn first team all SEC honors, Jacob. That's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the fact he didn't transfer out of there. I think that's kind of cool too. You don't see that nowadays. People are just not loyal, especially in the college game. You see a guy that's, has some loyalty, that has some tenure there. And I mean, South Carolina, it's not like he's playing at, St. Kate's or something like that. He's playing some decent people. And like you talked about there.
Big school, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, first team all SEC. I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at. So I would, again, it's just something I think 23 would be a little rich for my blood, like I said, but man, somewhere in the mid-second, I'd be totally on board with the TJ Sanders signing. I think it'd be cool. And look at this. Oh my gosh. Is that Omer? What is going on?
Back in their house.
Heck.
Omer.
All right. He's saying the Packer shopping list. He says this. He says the Packer shopping list: D end in round 1s, 2 or 3, cornerback, at least 1 DT, wide receivers in the later rounds, but would be ideal. All right, welcome back, Omer.
Let's go.
Hey, real quick on TJ Sanders, did you guys see that he played a little tight end in high school?
Ooh,
And
for real?
yeah, and also shined on the basketball team as well. Can you imagine 6'4", 290 coming at you on the basketball court?
I almost
That's
used
terrible.
that picture for his high school profile there because there was a picture of him in his basketball uni. And I was like, he's busting out the seams of that thing. Boy, I bet he's bodying people, man. I'm just telling you,
Hook him up with one of them custom uniforms, huh?
Exactly. We had a couple of those guys on our high school teams too, man, where it's just like you can't expect them to run the court consistently, but boy, they'll put somebody's ass on the floor. I promise you.
Yep.
That's the way it works.
Nobody's boxing him out, I promise.
Exactly. So when you look at the RAS card, man, it looks pretty. So he measured in at 6'3", 297 pounds. His hand size was 10 1/4. Those some big old paws on that boy. His reach, arm length, 31, a little over 33 inches, 33.13. His 40-yard dash, 4.95. 20-yard split was a 2.87. His 10-yard split was 1.67. Scoring him at 8.56 on the 10-yard split. That's pretty stout. His composite explosion grade, vertical jump of 31.5 inches for an 8.52, and the broad jump scored an 8.86 at 9.04. Now, he's still got a good composite agility grade with a shuttle of 4.67 and a 3-cone of 7.70. So his overall RAS is a 9.38. Goody is looking at that athletic profile and going, yes, this dude's a freak. He's got all the physical tools you need, right? Is he going to continue to ascend as he enters the league? And is he going to be someone that can evolve into that elite 3-tech pass rusher for us? What do y'all think about the RAS card, boys? We'll start with you, Tim.
No red, I'll take it. Right. And the weight is something that, he'll manage according to, wherever he's drafted, however they want him to play, similar to like a fighter, right? What is your fighting weight? What's your playing weight going to be in the NFL and in which scheme you're in? The agility grade with guys like this, I'll take it. I'll take goods all day. Normally, the bigger boys, you see a lot of red in the agility grade most of the time. So I like the RAS 938. I'll take it.
Yeah. How about you, Jacob?
I like it a lot. Personally, I mean, like
Doogie Howser over there with the keyboard, bro.
Doogie Howser. Oh man!
Also a great
show. Gave away our age
way.
right there, Clayton.
I know it, man. Go ahead, Jacob. I'm sorry, man.
I really am honestly impressed. I mean, you look at that, like a 4.95 at a legit. That's pretty much 6'4", 300 pounds. You know what I mean? For him to be moving the way that he does, and even look at the 3-cone. The guy's able to change directions pretty fast for being an absolute monster of a man. The vertical, the broad, it's all there. Like Tim highlighted, I think that certain players, when they play at certain positions, when you find out that they have like a basketball background, it just for some reason makes me realize like they're just more of an athlete than just a big whatever kind of fat guy, for lack of a better term. They got some finesse to what they're doing. They're carrying that weight around quite well. So that's definitely more intriguing. Like if you were going to line up a TJ Sanders and put him up to somebody that was maybe graded out equally as well, and you just told me that he was a basketball player, I'd be like, all right. Because I mean, I think about like, it seems like a lot of the tight ends You know what I mean? Have a basketball background. A lot of the I love the saying how they always say like, oh, LeBron could be a NFL tight end. Dude, LeBron couldn't.
No.
He falls at the very sight of an elbow. Like it's don't put that name in my mouth. I'm just saying.
I think LeBron chose the right sport. Yeah. I think he chose the right sport. If he'd been in the NFL, he would have gotten his ass kicked around. And I'm sorry, I don't subscribe to this. Oh, well, he's just trying to sell on a basketball court. He's actually tough. My ass.
Don't put that name in my mouth right there.
So, Coach Lynn asked a great question: TJ Sanders or Darius Alexander? Coach, we're a little bit. I don't say we. I don't want to put that name in their mouth right there. But on our board, on the PTA big board, we've actually got Darius Alexander in the 74 spot, and PFF loved him. He was 109, jumped to 43, jumped to 4. But at the end of the college football season, the PFF big board had him at 175, and the consensus big board had him at 193. Now, he did get a Senior Bowl bonus, which I think, it's rare you see somebody show up at the Senior Bowl and not transfer over to being a great NFL football player. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 50 spot. Dane Brugler had him at 67. He did score a 9+ RAS. And Greg Cosell actually liked Darius Alexander as well. So you got a 5-point Darius Alexander, 5-point Greg Cosell bonus, Darius Alexander. So to answer your question, we've got TJ Sanders in the 40-41 spot, I think. And we have got our boy Darius Alexander in the 74 spot. So that's how the board falls anyway. Again, it doesn't mean it's correct there. Coach Lynn did go on to say, love that TJ was a basketball player, probably has great movement skills. It's what you guys were talking about, man. It's when they talk about guys being able to jump out of the gym, that's explosion, right? When you talk about guys being able to move on the court enough, whether you're playing a zone or a man defense in basketball, you got to have that lateral quickness. You got to have that agility to play basketball. The big thing is that endurance. Like endurance in basketball, it's one thing I will tip my cap to people in the NBA, those guys, because that is not easy to just
moving all the time. Yeah,
all the time. The only thing worse, in my opinion, is soccer, because that field's a lot bigger. Lot bigger. So, I agree with the whole basketball comment there on TJ Sanders for sure. So moving along here, detailed scouting report. We did not hit that yet, did we? So he measured at 6'3", 297 pounds at the combine. Sanders possesses a sturdy, explosive build with 33-inch arms. His 4.95 40 highlights his quickness for his size, and his 2024 tape reveals a penetrating interior force. Sanders excels as a pass rusher with a rapid get-off, violent hands, and the flexibility to slip through gaps, making him a natural 3-tech in Green Bay's 4-3 front. He's reliable against the run, anchoring with power, though inconsistent pad level can hinder his leverage. Developing a broader pass rush arsenal beyond his rip and bull rush could elevate him into a 3-down starter with immediate value as a rotational disruptor. Look at the lean on him right here, too, for a big boy, taking the edge there, right?
Yep.
So I think that's what they were talking about. There was some of the athleticism. Injury and character concerns. Sanders' injury history is minimal. He battled a shoulder tweak in 2023 without missing time and sat out one half in 2024 due to a knee bruise against LSU, returning fully the next game. No significant durability flags exist, and his South Carolina Pro Day showed him hitting 19 miles per hour in drills. If that is true, that is insanity right there, boys. Because it's one thing to have a 40-yard dash. It's another thing to be running a drill. Like when you see the receivers run the gauntlet, that miles per hour is more important than the 40, in my opinion. But you'll take more information over less, obviously. Off the field, Sanders is a high-character prospect known for a strong work ethic, quiet leadership, and no off-field issues. His basketball roots underscore his athletic pedigree, enhancing his appeal. Man, I don't know about you guys, but everything about that. Other than the knee bruise, which he just set out a half, that's pretty squeaky clean, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and the character issue, or lack thereof, there are no character issues. I love it. Sounds more and more like a Packer the more you read up on this guy.
Yeah, he really does just seem like he fits the exact mold of what they would try to do, especially with if you're going to take a chance on a guy like that, and if you were considering drafting him in the first or second round, you want to make sure that he is an absolute knockout pick, somebody that's going to be a staple in the community, somebody that's going to absolutely take over the green and gold as like a true Kenny Clark replacement. I think if they were going to go that way, they're not going to pick a guy that's got, like Tim just said, a little bit of a bumpy background. Just reading that right there kind of solidified the fact that he fits the mold, man. He fits the mold as a Green Bay Packer.
Yeah. And if you draft him, right, and you have him worked into the rotation, your rotation is probably, especially if you take him at the 23rd pick, you're going to plan on him playing quite a bit, being a first round pick. So you would have Kenny Clark in the 1 tech, Devontae Wyatt in the 3, and you would have probably TJ Sanders in the backup 3, Carl Brooks in the backup 1. So got Kobe Wooden there, right? So there's a number of different directions you can go there. And then next year, if you decide to move on from Kenny, you make the decision. Do we want to put Devontae Wyatt in the 1 tech in our 4-3 over or under, or do we want to put TJ Sanders there, right? And I think they could both probably handle it, seeing kind of how we run that position there. And the thing that Kenny did well last year, and I know people don't want to give him credit for it, and I understand it's not very attractive when you watch the game, especially TV copy. But man, those touch spies, he is a big reason why the run defense was so contained last year by this defense, by the running game was contained by this run defense so well. Because man, he was occupying a double team, little touch spy, and that running back had no cutback lane in the middle at least. So that's something that I think someone like TJ Sanders could probably handle that. You get to sit behind Kenny for a year, right? And then work yourself a little deeper into that rotation when you decide to move on. And who knows, maybe Kenny bounces back, has a great year, and then the following year you restructure that deal a little bit, keep him around. That could happen, right? So this is really interesting here, just looking at the chart and kind of how he's been tracked. If you notice, going into the offseason, December 3rd, he was right around the 49 mark, as you can see this, right? And he dropped down, and then right around February 24th, that's probably the combine, I would imagine, right? He jumps back up to probably around, I don't know, probably the 53, 54 mark, something like that. And then he slowly sinks back down, and now he's getting a little bit of a boost again. But when you look at the mocks here, the most recent one was April 2nd by Fox Sports' Carmen Vitale. They actually took him 24th to the Minnesota Vikings. But if you'll pay attention to the dates, there hasn't been a whole lot of mock drafts recently, at least in the month of March, that has taken him very, very high, or else those numbers would be on here, which means he's kind of slipped out of the first on most of the recent mock drafts. However, on April 2nd, they actually had him at 24th. So if I had to kind of guess where's he going to be picked, probably around Green Bay at 23 or whoever has that 35th to 40th pick, that range. So if you get to pick 23 and TJ Sanders is sitting there with, let's say, 3 or 4 prospects that you like the same, trade back and then take your pick of the minimized litter after you get to your next pick after trading back. So that kind of, I love that visualization there too, just to kind of see, okay, where has he been taken? You know what I mean, Tim? Like, and it just shows you the ceiling. And then obviously the fact that there was no mock drafts in March that had him in the first round tells you the floor is probably early to mid second.
And you look at the Eagles too, popping up here multiple times as a team taking him at the end of the first round there, right? I mean, clearly the pedigree is there, and you got defensive-minded football teams that are all over this guy. So you may be right, Clayton. We may have to pull the trigger at 23 if we want to get our hands on him that bad.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jacob, what do you think, man, about this 20? It looks like late first to mid second projection, right?
Yeah. I would definitely think that this is one of those candidates for the trade back scenario. And like Tim said, as I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, stop giving defensive players to Philly, please. Can we just
they've got enough.
They have them all.
Can we just stop? But it is definitely a little more encouraging seeing that, like you said, up until very recently, it just kind of was a given that this guy was maybe a first round, sneaking into the first round, for sure an early second round guy. At this point, I still myself would be a little hesitant at 23, but if we were to trade back even 5-6 spots or whatever, and he's still there, I'd be totally cool with it.
Got it. All right. So draft projection, TJ Sanders projects as a late first round, early second round pick. a rise fueled by his 2024 performance with the 51 tackles, 4 sacks, and the combine showing. Sitting at number 41 on our PTA big board, Sanders fits a premium position in a deep defensive line class. The Packers, with picks at 23 and 54, could target him late in the first if he slides, though teams like the Chiefs, number 31, or the Ravens at pick 28 might grab him earlier for pass rush spark. He's viewed as a day one rotational piece with the tools to develop into a Pro Bowl caliber starter, unlikely to fall past the top 50 given his upside and the league's need for interior pressure. So again, that is TJ Sanders sitting in the 41 spot, officially gets the bullseye on the draft board. Matter of fact, I'll add that right now. I've got a chat mark there. If you'll pull that up for me, Jacob, I think it was by H.E. Solder, and I'll get this draft board up here if you'll remind me what he said. And
so H.E. Soder is wondering, do we want Kenneth Grant or Sanders? I'm assuming that means with the 23rd pick. That's a weird question, to be honest, for me, because I feel like Grant won't last that long, and I feel like Sanders might be a little bit of an overreach at that position. So it's kind of that weird tweener spot there. I wouldn't mind. I mean, if we were to trade up for a guy, I necessarily don't. I don't like that idea of trading up, honestly, for anybody, unless somebody falls to the point where it's like we have to. I much more enjoy the idea of us trading back and getting a talent like Sanders or something. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Although there's a big part of me that wouldn't be upset at all if we took him at 23. Maybe that's just my bias towards the defense. I've kind of put him up there in that same realm as like we talked about Kenneth Grant, like you said, like he may not even make it that far, but like guys like Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan, it's kind of tough to kind of pinpoint where you think they might go. Those are
I was going to ask, Prince brought it up right here, Grant. If let's say that Grant's gone, there's Nolan there, there's Harmon there, there's Alexander there, and there's Sanders. Which one of those would you be more likely to draft, in your opinion?
Yes. So for me, like H.E. Solder said there with Grant or Sanders, it's real easy. Kenneth Grant's 14th on our board, right? And TJ Sanders was whatever he was, 41st, right? Yeah, in the 41 spot. So Grant, Nolan, or Harmon over Sanders, completely agree with it. Like I said, we've got Grant in the 14 spot. We got Nolan in the 18 spot. And then we've got Harmon in the 25 spot. All three of those ahead of TJ Sanders. But again, if they get him in-house and he has a Jaden Reed-like performance for that top 30 visit, who knows, man? They may have a higher grade on Sanders than these guys. That may be a thing, Yep. I go back and forth. Like our board says that Mason Graham is the best defensive lineman, hands down, no questions asked, right? But again, with Greg Cosell saying that Walter Nolan is the best defensive tackle in this draft and him falling at 18, it just shows you how deep this defensive tackle class is. And that's why you got to kind of let it come to you. Kind of answer that question, Jacob, that Prince, or it really wasn't a question, just a comment here. If you get to pick 23 and 2 of those 4 are on the board, if 3 of those 4 are on the board, trade back, right? Yeah. If 2 of them are on the board, probably want to make your pick unless you've got another position like edge or offensive tackle that you feel even better about, maybe wide receiver, right? That could be the case as well. As you see Emeka Egbuka sitting here in the 19 spot on our board. So it's going to be interesting, man. That defensive line talk has been fascinating all offseason, just how we've kind of to go from at the end of the year when there were, some people screaming, we need this, we need that, we need edge defenders, we need edge defenders, we need wide receivers, we need wide receivers. We immediately said, boys, we need offensive line help now because we have no depth. Goody goes out and gets an offensive lineman. We need cornerbacks because we don't know if Ja's going to be back or not. He goes out and gets Nate Hobbs. And now we're going, okay, we got some room to breathe. What do we need? Probably moving on from Kenny, if not next year, the year after that. Let's go ahead and get that 3 tech of the future. I got made fun of for it on Twitter, right, over and over and over. But it kind of feels like they're settling in at edge, wide receiver, and 3 tech is what they're looking at here with the 23rd pick. That's what it feels like they're narrowing down to. So anything else on the TJ Sanders talk there before we jump into the next topic here, gents?
No, I think it was great. Good breakdown there for sure on the Patreon. I like it. Yeah,
absolutely. If you want to join our Patreon group, it's the best way to support us here for $3 a month. You get access to everything on the site. We just uploaded. So excited about this. We just uploaded Chalk Talks week 6 and 7. Both were wins, and they were fun to break down. So what you get in there, matter of fact, I'll get way off track. Actually, I could probably scroll up. And we're gonna show this next article anyway. Let's do this real quick. This is what we're talking about with the Chalk Talks. So you see right here, Romeo Dobbs scores twice in Packers 34-13 rout of the Cardinals. So that's the Cardinals game, and you get in here and you just hit play. Full access. My name is Clayton. You get right into the Chalk Talk. Times in the past, I've be honest with you, breakdown. Not it's real simple. It's just right there at your disposal. Right there was the game winner. McManus's last second field goal lifts the Packers over the Texans. We got that one in there. You'll also notice throughout the whole article, you got the entire box score in there with a detailed description, pictures of the game. So just make sure you check it out, man. I'm telling you, for $3 a month, I feel like we've done a pretty good job with that whole setup there. And it just kind of keeps you – what we're going to do, we're putting all those Chalk Talks in place because we're going to go back as soon as everything cools off here after the draft, after we break down all the new draft picks for the Packers. We're going to go back and relive last year through reading the details of the games. Remember we do this every year, Jacob? We would do a refresher. All right, what actually happened last year? And let's take it right up. That'll take us right up to training camp. We're off and running. So make sure you check it out. But all right, so the next topic here, 6 prospects that could be available for Green Bay at pick 159. This is starting to get really fun because as you climb on down the board, you start to find quite a few gems here. And you start to see which positions that the Packers have met with later in the draft that really feel like, okay, that might be where they're targeting that position at, right? So if you couple that with the information we have on the top 30 visits and what we just talked about on who may or may not be in the first or second round in terms of targets for the Packers, you start to see this blueprint, this map of what the Packers may be looking to do in the draft. So here's what we wrote. When Green Bay makes a choice with pick 159 in the 5th round, there's a decent chance these players could still be on the board below our scouting reports on each, along with their ranking on our PTA big board. Notably, all 6 have met with the Packers at some point, whether through visits, workouts, or interviews during the 2025 NFL draft process. First on the list is this guy right here, Mr. Jared Wilson out of Georgia. He's in the 122 spot. What I did was I went up about 20 spots on our board and just started looking for the cheese emojis and then climbed down to about 20 spots below it. So Jared Wilson's first. Jared Wilson's a sturdy, technically sound center with a strong anchor and a low center of gravity. He excels in the run game using his leverage to seal off defenders. And has shown solid awareness and pass protection during the 2024 season. While he lacks elite athleticism, his consistency and football IQ make him a dependable option. Projected as a mid-round pick, Wilson could provide the Packers with depth along the interior offensive line and a potential future starter at center. As you see here with the PFF grades, in 2021, he peaked actually 82.3, albeit it looks like it was minimal snaps. He fell back to a 64.4 minimal snaps. Jumped back up to a 70.2 minimal snaps. And then in 2024, he jumped back up to a 79.6, which was the 11th highest graded center in all of college football in 2024. So Jacob Bayer, if I remember correctly, smaller school, actually graded out higher on our board and obviously with PFF when it comes to playing center in college. Those grades worry me a little bit. I don't know if you guys can find information on the injury history, why when you don't see this rank right here, see how it says 11th, that means they didn't meet the qualifying amount of snaps. So it makes me wonder why does he not have that here? If you guys want to run some of that down. Jacob, if you want to start just talking about what you think about Jared Wilson here out of Georgia.
Yeah, Jared Wilson's kind of an interesting subject, like you talked about, Clay. So he had only played 8 games in 2022, which totaled 67 snaps. In 2023, he only had 131 snaps with 9 games of play. Like you said, 2024, he finally comes in, has a pretty darn good grade, basically an 80 flat. He played 12 games, over 800 snaps. He allowed 0 sacks, 1 hit, and 5 hurries. He's predominantly a center as far as where he's played. He played 810 snaps in 2024. In 2023, had a short stint at right guard and left guard. And then in 2022, also the same thing, left guard and right guard. I don't know if it was necessarily an injury thing or if he just wasn't able to see the field. Georgia has some pretty decent football players from what I'm told.
Yeah.
So it was just maybe one of those facts where he just couldn't see the field. Run block rate of 76, pass block rate of 84.9, which I think is pretty cool. True pass set pass block rate of a 90.5. So I could totally see him slipping in. He also, I believe, ran like a 4.8 or 4.9 and 40 at the combine. So dude can move. Dude can move.
Yep. I don't see anything injury related for him either, Jacob. So it could be inconsistency or something, inexperience early on there that kept him off the field until the last couple of years.
There you go. All right. So Jared Wilson, again, he's fallen in here at the 122 spot on our PTA big board. The Packers have met with him already. So moving along to the next one, we got Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. This is obviously Matthew Golden's former teammate at Texas. They both, to the best of my knowledge, were top 30 visits, right? Which is really interesting that they bring both those receivers in. Really says a lot. We've got Isaiah Bond in the 127 spot. That's significantly lower than most people do. Isaiah Bond's a speedy wide receiver with a knack for getting open deep and turning short catches into big gains. His 2024 performance highlighted his explosiveness and elusiveness, though he's still developing his route running polish and needs to add strength to handle physical corners. Bond's upside as a vertical threat make him an intriguing day 3 prospect for Green Bay, who could serve as a developmental playmaker with special teams potential. You guys talk about Bond for a second. I'll get the PFF here if you want to just kind of highlight it. I'm going to go look at the mock draft database and see where he's most recently been picked at.
I mean, Isaiah Bond is, again, kind of a unique person. 5'11" is what DraftBuzz has him at. Says he ran a 4.39. I've also seen as high as a 4.35. They have him projected as basically an impact Z, meaning kind of like that Jaden Reed role, you know what I mean? Where you can kind of move him around where he's not necessarily, people may consider him a little bit quote unquote undersized, but he does have the bona fides that he's done out wide. As you see there, his out wide snaps are 4.18 to in the slot 104. I think he's one of those guys that's kind of a puzzle piece for sure. And even if it's a 4.39 or 4.35, the dude's got the speed, definitely. So I would definitely wouldn't mind him in the 5th. For sure. He's a little bit of a question mark for me as what he can actually do as a receiver, but I would not be mad at a round 5th round pick for Isaiah Bond. How about you, Tim?
I think 5th round is fair. There's a few other guys that are that same kind of stature that I would go a little bit higher, including Jalen Noel is another name that comes to mind.
Royals.
Yep. Jalen Royal is another good example. So, I mean, I think 5th is fair for Bond. I really do. But clearly looks like, the most difficult part is the stuff he doesn't control, right? The height. It's, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I think there's zero chance he'll be around in the 5th. The reason we put him on this list is because that's where we got him on our board.
Yeah.
The fact that the Packers met with him, maybe they were trying to get some closure on that question as well. Like, okay, yeah, he's not as high as we thought he was. Of course, they may look at him and see him as the best receiver in the draft. But Chad Reuter did a mock draft actually yesterday at NFL.com, and he had the LA Rams taking him at 32. On March 31st or March 21st, Chad Reuter, his other mock draft before that, actually had the LA Rams taking him at 32. And then before that was February 27th, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Ayrton Osley, I hope I'm saying that name right, had Washington taking Isaiah Bond 29th overall. So if these mock drafts are anywhere near accurate, he's going to be long gone by the 5th. But again, this is one that if you're saying, hey, top 30 visit, we might be eyeing him for pick 23. No. Let's hope that's not the case. Of course, if it is, who knows? Maybe they'll prove us wrong. But in terms of – go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I will say he just turned 21. And PFF's little kind of write-up says that Bond's world-class speed will be coveted, likely in the top 50, but he needs to continue to grow as a receiver, not just a fast player, to remain on the field for more than vertical play calls. So they're straight saying that he's going to go in the top 50. They have him, I believe, at 109 on the PFF consensus big board right now, but like you said, I don't see him last until the 5th, but I just don't feel like, I mean, if we take him at 23,
I share that.
I'll buy a jersey, but I'll pretend.
It's going to be one of those players that would love to have him in the 5th round. Hell, even the 4th, I could stomach that, right?
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, when he goes off the board, Tim, in the 1st or 2nd round, I'm going to go, like, okay,
Yeah.
because I mean, when you look at why he's ranked there, and again, I'm not trying to knock the guy personally, but in 2022, he was 848th at his position, according to PFF. He jumped all the way to 116 in 23, but then fell back to 318 in 24. The PFF big board had him at 79 at the end of the year. The consensus big board had him at 48. Kyle Krabs had him at 62, but Dane Brugler had him at 94. And again, he was the one saying he was going to go into the combine, break the speed record, right? The 40-yard dash record, and didn't even come close. His teammate ran faster than him, right? So it's going to be interesting to see where he falls for sure. But for those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for our. We're going to pick up, continue this conversation, I should say, with these 5th round potentials for the Packers in hour 2. We'll see you on the other side. We appreciate you.